Welcome to Tamworth Training Centre. I'm Jeff Cubitt, one of the assessors and one of the IQAs here at Tamworth Training Centre. And today we want to show you how to enrol and be able to register for an NVQ here. To do that, you need to make sure that you download the right hard copy for the NVQ you want. So for example, this one here is for a level 2 groundworkers NVQ. It's called Civils in the actual title, and then you can see it's a level 2 where the green mark is. Each NVQ has a different front sheet like this. So for example, there's also a level 3, and you'd need this one if you wanted to do a level 3, and if you want to do a level 6 you need this one. So you do need to download the right pack for the right NVQ. This level 6 on completion will mean you can get a black card, whereas the level 3 means you can get a gold card, and the level 2 in any of them means you can get a blue tradesman's card. So given that you've downloaded the right information, you can now start to fill out the information. Each pack contains 5 sheets. This is the first sheet. What are we thinking of here? Well, first of all, we want you to ignore this bit at the top and go down to here where it talks about the need to fill it out in black ink. Black ink. And then you're given 4 boxes to fill out. The first one is your title, Mr. Doctor, whatever that might be. And then you've got your gender, which is going to be male or female, or you can put an X in it if you wish, which is non-specified. Ethnicity is the next box. Well, that's pertaining to your race. For me, I'm white British. So when I look on the back at ethnicity here, it suggests that I put in number 31 for white British. But for Irish, it's 32. For any other white Europeans, there's a number there that's generic, which is 38. Sorry, 34. But as you work through, you go through Africa and Asia, the mixes that you might find, and then to the East and the Far East. So at any stage, if there isn't the one you wish, you can always write, for example, the last one there's 98, not specified. Then after that you come to the usual information relating to your surname. That's your family name. For me that's Cubitt. And then your forename, I think it calls it here, forename, or your personal name. For me that's Jeff. Followed by your address and your postcode. Be sure to make sure it's well filled out. I would suggest you print it, because sometimes the postcode is used to identify you. And then it's your mobile phone number, your email address, and also who it is you work for. And that will be either the person that you're doing it through, or if you're self-employed, put self-employed. And then it wants you to sign and date the bottom. Now that will mean that you've accepted that this information can be used, this personal information of yours, in the process required for the NVQ. And it's a handful of people literally that will see it normally. But it won't be passed on to any other people. It will only be used for the purpose for which you've written it out, and that is to the NVQ completion. Just one final thing, it talks about proof of ID. So if you could send some photo ID, like a driving license, passport, CSCS card or something like that, then that will actually confirm who we're dealing with. So if you could do that, that will complete then the first sheet of the NVQ. So coming to the second sheet for this enrolment is this one here. What's this sheet about? Well, it's fundamentally about making sure that this is the right NVQ for you, that you can actually complete it, not just start it. So is it the correct qualification? If there's any doubt in your mind, then feel free to ring in and discuss it with the centre coordinator, or he can put you onto one of the assessors. But we want to make sure that it's the one that is needed for your work, perhaps it's needed by your employer, or it really does tie in with what you're doing. For example, a ground worker's NVQ covers quite a few different things, like concrete and drainage. But there is another NVQ that deals with curbing and alcoves. And there's another one that deals with modular paving, like block paving and slabbing. So you want to make sure you get the right one for what you're doing. And then it talks about unit selection. We'll talk about that more later. Sometimes you get options as to what units you will do. And then finally it talks about an achievement date. What will perhaps impinge on that? Well, simply put, do you have access to your back catalogue of work? You know, have you done this for many years? There's lots of examples of it. And can you prove that it's your work? Is there someone that can vouch for you who's notable for your work? And then, of course, are you doing it now is crucial too. If you aren't doing the work now, then how will you ever be observed doing it, or it be videoed you doing it? So you have to certainly be doing it now to be able to do the NVQ. But if you have started a new on site, perhaps you're a teenager, you've only been doing it a few weeks, well then probably the NVQ will take perhaps 4, 5 or 6 months for you to complete, depending again on how much of the different work you're being assessed on you do. So that is something that can be discussed between yourself and the assessor. And then it's your agreement with what's decided there. Usually it's an average sort of time will be 4 months. Sometimes for a level 6 it's a year, something like that. So that's and of course that then will be signed and dated to go with the other one that you've already signed and dated. Coming to our third sheet then. What does our third sheet look like? Well, it looks like that. That third sheet carries the appeals procedure and equality and diversity policy of Tamworth Training Centre. So what is the appeals procedure? Well, it's listed here, but simply put, it's these 3 things. If there's something that you don't think is fair about your assessment or the behaviour of the assessor, or anyone actually who's working for the centre, then you verbally speak to the assessor. He will answer you within 5 days. If he still doesn't agree with you, you can appeal then to the coordinator at Tamworth Training Centre, and he will respond to you in 5 days. You have to do that in writing though. If he still doesn't agree with you, having talked perhaps to the assessor and the IQA that are involved in your NVQ, then they can give you the information, the centre coordinator, for the NOCN and how you can actually appeal to them. And again, that will be in written form that you will make that appeal. And of course what they decide is concrete and won't be changed. So now we come on to the bottom section of the sheet, which is the equality and diversity. So there are 9 elements that we can't discriminate on the grounds of at the bottom. And whether we work for the Tamworth Training Centre or whether we're doing an NVQ as a student with them, we have to abide by that. We don't want anyone to be discriminated against on those grounds. And if we did, it could jeopardise the completion of our NVQ, or for someone who works for Tamworth Training Centre, maybe their job. So printing, signing and dating that there means you accept the appeals procedure and you will abide by the equality policy. Okay, coming to the end now then. So we've looked at 3 sheets. This is the 4th sheet. This is a CV. It's quite a rudimentary CV. It just asks for your name, your job title, what that means, how long you've been working for that company, how long you've been in the building, all told, and then it gives you opportunity to write other people you've worked for in that same field, and at the end any qualifications that might bear on your NVQ. Now you may have quite an elaborate CV if you're doing a level 6 or something, or if you've much travelled and done lots of different kinds of work. Well, we don't mind receiving that at some stage, but we do need you to complete this because it hits all the things that are required by the NVQ. Finally, thinking about these qualifications you've listed here, maybe you have an NVQ already. Maybe you're already a dumper driver, or maybe you're already a carpenter, maybe you're already a roofer. Maybe you have a triple STS qualification or SMSTS qualification. Then we'd like you to include a copy of that with your application to be enrolled and registered with this paperwork. Coming to our 5th sheet then, and final sheet for you to fill out is this. Obviously it needs your name at the top. Don't worry about filling this out, but you will need to tick one of these 2. Here you've got the mandatory units. Mandatory units, you must do them. Then you have 2 options here. For a ground worker, that's either concreting or drainage. Now you might mark one of them as wanting to do that, but it might come that they move you to another site and there's only concrete and there's no drainage. Well, we can change. We can go to the other option if that suits you. So it's not cast in stone. And this is true of all the NVQs here. Let me show you, for example, this is the level 3 supervision NVQ, mandatory ones, and then some optional units. So you have to do 2 of them. The other one I've got here is the level 6, mandatory units, and then optional. Maybe you have to do 3 or 4 of these. Yeah, they're not cast in stone. You can make your choice now. It can be adjusted as need be to suit your work environment and the work you're actually fulfilling at this time. So what have we, to sum up, what can we say? Well, make sure you download the right NVQ with the right front sheet. Fill out the 4 sheets in black ink. Include photo ID of yourself, and do put in those certificates or courses you've been on that relate in some way to the NVQ. So they're about health and safety or some other NVQ you did. You might be able to get some benefit of that. So can you do this NVQ? If you're working, earning your living, doing this NVQ trade or management or supervision, then the chances are yes, you can do it, and probably quite easily. There will always be something that you might have to tweak, which the assessor will make known to you. But yes, we would expect you to be able to do it. Why? Well, you are doing it. Our work here isn't to make you a ground worker, make you a contracts manager, make you a supervisor. You're doing that. You've already made that. We're proving on paper that that is what you can do. So we have to do that. And when we ask a question or ask something of you, it's to that end, so you can actually fulfill your wish and complete the NVQ that you've chosen to do and applied for. So we look forward for you to be getting in touch with us, for us to being able to look at your application and to answer any questions you might have here at Tamworth Training Centre. Any of us are happy to do that, and also to be able to meet you perhaps on site or maybe over Zoom via video conferencing much of the material initially. So yes, bye for now.